vast expanse of the Arabian Sea, aboard the USS Vanguard, Captain Elias Thorne stared at the flickering radar screen in the cockpit of his FA-18 Super Hornet. The sun dipped low on the horizon, painting the waves in hues of crimson and gold, a deceptive calm before the storm of war. Elias, with his chiseled jaw and eyes like stormy oceans, had flown countless missions, but this one weighed heavier than the missiles slung beneath his wings. At 32, he was a decorated pilot, known for his precision and unflinching resolve. Yet beneath the flight suit, his heart carried the ghosts of past, strikes faceless, lives altered forever by the push of a button. Back home in San Diego, Elias's wife, Sophia, waited with their young son, Noah. She had named him after the biblical survivor, hoping he would inherit his father's strength without the scars. Elias often whispered promises into the phone. One more tour, love, and I'm done. But duty called louder than love. Tonight's target was a suspected insurgent stronghold in the rugged mountains of Yemen, intelligence deeming it a high-value asset. Minimize collateral, the briefing officer had said. But Elias knew the truth in war. Lines blurred like smoke in the wind. As the jet catapulted off the carrier deck, Elias's mind drifted to Amelia Voss, a name he didn't know yet, but one that fate would etch into his soul. Amelia, 28, with flowing auburn hair and a spirit as resilient as the desert sands, was an aid worker from Boston. She had come to Yemen 3 years ago, driven by a passion to heal the wounds of conflict. In a makeshift clinic in the village of Almira, she tended to the forgotten, widows, orphans, and the weary. Her daughter Lily, just 7, with wide emerald eyes and a laugh like tinkling bells, was her anchor. Lily's father had been lost to the endless strife, leaving Amelia to raise her alone amid the chaos. That evening, as dusk settled, Amelia hummed a lullaby to Lily in their modest tent. "Mommy, when will the stars stop falling?" Lily asked, her voice innocent yet laced with the fear of a child who had seen too much. Amelia pulled her close. "Soon, my darling. We'll go home to the sea where the only waves are gentle." But deep down, Amelia sensed the air thickening with peril. Rumors of an impending strike buzzed through the village like angry hornets. She had chosen this life to make a difference. But now, with Lily's tiny hand in hers, doubt crept in like shadows. High above, Elias locked onto the coordinates. His wingman, Lieutenant Marcus Hale, radioed encouragement. "Steady, Thorne. This one's for the good guys." Elias nodded to himself, fingers hovering over the release. The missiles, Hellfire AGM-114s, were precision-guided, but intelligence was never flawless. As the jet screamed toward the target, Elias whispered a silent prayer. "Let this be clean." The night sky erupted in fire as Elias released the missiles. Twin streaks of flame arced downward, guided by laser precision toward the insurgent compound nestled in the valley. The explosion was a symphony of destruction. Deafening roars, billowing smoke, and the acrid scent of scorched earth. From his vantage, Elias watched the thermal bloom on his HUD confirming hits. "Target neutralized," he reported, his voice steady but his heart pounding like a war drum. Mission accomplished, or so the logs would say. Below in Almira, chaos reigned. The strike, intended for the compound a kilometer away, had veered perilously close due to a last-minute intel glitch, a civilian convoy, mistaken for reinforcements. Amelia's clinic shuddered as shockwaves rippled through the ground. "Lily, get down!" Amelia screamed, shielding her daughter with her body as debris rained like hellfire. The tent collapsed, burying them in canvas and dust. Pain shot through Amelia's leg, a shard of metal embedding deep. But her only thought was Lily. Digging frantically, she pulled the girl free, her small face streaked with tears and blood from a superficial cut. "Mommy, it hurts," Lily whimpered, clutching her mother's hand. Around them, villagers wailed, homes reduced to rubble, lives shattered in an instant. Amelia, adrenaline surging, staggered to her feet, ignoring the agony. She gathered what supplies she could salvage and began tending to the wounded. An elderly man, his arm mangled, gasped thanks through gritted teeth. A young boy, no older than Lily, lay still, his eyes vacant. Amelia's hands trembled as she closed them, tears mixing with the grime on her cheeks. This wasn't just a strike. It was a fracture in the human spirit. Elias, circling back for reconnaissance, caught glimpses through his infrared camera, heat signatures scattered like ants from a disturbed nest. Civilians, not combatants. His stomach churned. "Command, confirm collateral assessment," he radioed, voice cracking for the first time. The response was clinical. Minimal. Proceed to RTB. But Elias knew better. He had seen the outlines of small figures, children perhaps, amid the ruins. Guilt clawed at him, a beast he couldn't outfly. As he banked toward the carrier, the missile's trails lingered in his mind like accusing fingers. In the village, Amelia refused to break. She fashioned a splint for her leg and organized a triage. "We survived this," she told the survivors, her voice a beacon in the darkness. Lily, huddled by her side, drew strength from her mother's resolve. "You're my hero, Mommy," she said softly. But as the night wore on, Amelia's thoughts turned to the faceless pilots above. Who were they? Did they know the cost of their thunder? Days blurred into weeks as the aftermath unfolded. Elias returned to the Vanguard, haunted by nightmares of exploding villages and crying children. He pored over declassified reports, learning of the unintended casualties, a sterile term for broken lives. One name surfaced, Amelia Voss, an American aid worker injured in the strike. Her story made headlines back home, a poignant reminder of war's human toll. Elias, tormented, requested leave and flew to Yemen under the guise of a fact-finding mission. He had to see, to understand, to atone. In Almira, reconstruction began slowly. Amelia, her leg in a cast, continued her work, Lily by her side like a shadow. The girl had changed, her laughter rarer, her eyes wiser. One afternoon, a stranger approached, tall with a haunted gaze. "I'm Captain Elias Thorne," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Amelia's eyes widened in recognition. You're the one." She didn't shout or accuse. Her pain was deeper than anger. They talked for hours under a rebuilt tent. Elias confessed the weight of his actions, the split-second decisions that echoed eternally. "I thought I was protecting the world," he admitted, tears tracing lines on his face. Amelia shared her story, the loss, the resilience. "War doesn't discriminate," she said, "but we can choose healing over hatred." Lily, listening quietly, approached Elias. "Did you make the stars fall?" she asked innocently. He knelt, meeting her gaze. "Yes, little one. And I'm so sorry." In that moment, something shifted. Elias vowed to advocate for better protocols, using his influence to push for reforms in targeting civilians. Amelia, inspired, expanded her clinic, turning it into a symbol of hope. Their paths intertwined, letters exchanged, visits planned. Elias found purpose beyond the cockpit, Sophia supporting his transformation. Lily, with time, forgave, her drawings shifting from explosions to soaring birds. Years later, as Elias retired, he reflected on that fateful night. The missiles released had destroyed more than a target. They had forged unbreakable bonds. In the quiet of peace, he whispered to the stars, "We rise from the ashes." Amelia and Lily, back in Boston, watched the sea, hearts mended by the power of human connection. War's fury had struck, but love's echo proved stronger.